what I need you to do is when you go to Blackboard and you go to assignments over on the left, you will see it says upload to Blackboard. It says download the folder one, upload to Blackboard. And when you click on that link, all that is the link to my Dropbox page. And it's got a bunch of different files here. We kind of did this the other day, but I don't think you guys, we had a version of InDesign that you might not have on your computer. So I don't know if you're going to need to redo it or not. But what I was asking you to do is you click on this little link up here that in essence just selects everything that's in there. You say download. It's going to ask you where do you want to download it, I think. It might just put it directly in our downloads folder, but on mine it says where do you want to put it. This is where you would navigate to Dropbox, Pub Design, Assignments, and then if you say that, it's going to make a new folder and it's going to call it one upload to Blackboard. But this is where it's important for you guys to really start keeping yourself organized. So that's why I wanted you to create a Pub Design folder in your Dropbox. Within that, having an assignments folder. And then what we're going to do is we'll just make sure that when we start saving stuff, we're going to put them in the right folder so it's going to be easier for you to find. And then as we're working on InDesign files, there's some naming ways I'm going to recommend you name your files, and then there may ways that you're going to make duplicates of them, almost like a backup, so that if something were to crash or you kind of have at least, I have yesterday's version of it that I can go back to if something were to happen. So you would do that, then you would say save. So I want you to do that if you haven't done that automatically. And then it should be in your downloads, your Dropbox folder, assignments. Let's see, Dropbox, Pub Design, assignments. Why is it not showing up? I don't see it, so I'm gonna have to download it. So what it does is it gives me a zip file. Now what a zip file is just going to take all the different elements that you saw there. Some were font, some were graphics, the InDesign file, and it compresses them together into one file that's, like I said, it's compressed so that it's smaller and it's easier to either email or to download. And then once it's done, what we'll do is we'll double click it and it will unzip. So was everybody able to download it to their computer? Did that work? And then if you just double click on it, it automatically expands, and then you'll see that I see everything that's inside it. Okay, if that works, then I want you to open, there's two files here that are InDesign related. The first one is the one that says INDD. That's the traditional InDesign file. Okay. The second one is IDML, and what it is it's a file that if you were to send it to someone and they had an older version of InDesign, they'd be able to open it. So I'd like you to try to open the INDD file, and hopefully you have the version, and see it says cannot be saved with a newer, it was saved with a newer version. I can't open that one on this computer. So I'm going to have to open, it does say I can convert it, but I'm going to have to open the IDML file, which is for people who need the older version. Okay, because you are on your laptops, it's probably going to work, right? But on the computers here, it might have been the older version, like I have the older version. Okay, so it does open up. and I get a flyer. So everyone has this flyer that's able to do this, right?
Well, so when it says, do you want to update the links to the
Yes. The question was, do you want to update the links? It was asking. And the reason you want to do that is, I mentioned the other day, even though I bring a photo into a flyer I'm working on in InDesign, the photo is not actually part of the InDesign file. It's just a link. And so you might have it in your computer when you did it at home. So the link would be your computer's home hard drive and then maybe Dropbox and whatever. But then when you're looking at it on here, it's going to be this computer's name, Dropbox. So it just updates it for you, so it's kind of fixed. So this is kind of what an InDesign file looks like. It's a flyer, and there's different. One of the assignments we're going to do is I'm going to introduce you to all the different parts of InDesign. For the time being, though, what I want you to focus on is we're just making sure that all the links are right, and then we're going to submit it as an assignment. So don't worry about what everything means at this point. What I really want you to make sure is on the bottom, you have a green button that says no errors. That's what you want to always make sure. So the types of errors that you might have would be, maybe you used a photo and somehow the link got disconnected. So even though it looks fine on the screen, InDesign is saying, I don't know where that file is. So it would warn you there. Maybe you're using a font that you don't really install on your computer. It would warn you of that. Maybe you have type that is not showing up. So let's say you have a paragraph of type that has 150 words in it, and the box is a little bit too small, so all 150 words don't show up. It would say, hey, they call that overset text. It'll say, uh-oh, you got some overset text. It's important to know that because, the last thing in the paragraph might be, for more information, call whatever, and if it's cut off, people wouldn't have that number. So as long as everyone has green, then everything's fine, and we're going to go ahead and get ready to package this thing like we're going to submit a project. Because every one of your assignments, projects, this is how we're going to submit our artwork. So on page 4, it says, once you have InDesign open, the first step is to package the InDesign file. So from within InDesign, you open it up, you say File, Package. Now, on mine, it might ask you, you got to save this first. So if you did that, did anybody do you have to save it? No? Okay. Sometimes it'll say you got to save this first because maybe you changed something and it hasn't really been saved. So if it says that, you would say, yes, I want to save it. So then it says under printing instructions, click continue. Wait, what? Mine doesn't say under printing, it just says package. So I'll have to redo that. They've changed it. Now it says for mine, you need to save that. So I'm going to say yes, go ahead and save it. And then it's going to ask you where, and in this case, I'm just going to save it right over where it was. You might not have had that, it might have just saved it automatically. I'm going to save it under spring. Oh. Spring. All right, so then it says, where do you want to put this? So let me do that again. I'm going to say package. It won't ask me again, where do I want to save it? Package. Then this is where it's going to make a new folder that we're going to name It's going to have our name on it. So it says make a folder. This is, you're going to call it last name underscore the description. So in this case, it would be assignment 1 underscore and then 4 printer, the number 4 printer. And the reason I do 4 printer is that lets me know that, okay, this is the best of the best, the last one, the absolutely official, everything. So I would do it under assignments. I would do it within the folder that says 1 upload, and then I would call it Cowan underscore assignment 1 underscore 4 printer. Okay, and then before I say yes or package, there's 3 things I want to make sure you select. One is you want to make sure you want to bring copy fonts. The first one is selected. Copy link graphics is selected. Update graphic links in the package is selected. And then if you are worried about versions of InDesign, so if you're using the computer here, you might want to click include IDML. And if you're going to go from here to your computer at work, I mean like your laptop back to here. Because that's going to allow you, if you have 2 different versions of InDesign, 2 different, you know, one's newer than the other one, that'll always allow you to be able to open the other one. Okay. If you're working on your laptop, you don't have to click on this IDML one. Okay. There's no reason because you're only going to be using your version. All right. So once you have your last name underscore, in this case it's assignment 1 underscore 4 printer, then you're going to say package. And what it's going to do is it's going to open, I'm going to go to my file. It created a folder here, and it called it what I said. It has an InDesign file in it, and then it has 2 folders. One is fonts, and one are links. So links are going to be photos, logos, anything like that. All the fonts are going to go in the fonts folder. That's what I'm going to need to grade, because I'm going to need to be able to go into your InDesign file and see, are things linked together? How many fonts are you using? Are the photos linked properly? Are style sheets? You know, that's what I'm going to need. But I don't want to send all that information to Blackboard, because Blackboard will get full. Because this right here is kind of a small file. We don't have, it's just sample stuff. But when you start working on some of your projects, especially toward the end, there are going to be some bigger photos and stuff like that. I just don't want to put all that stuff into InDesign. So what I'd rather to Blackboard. What I'd rather do is just have a good PDF that we'll put into Blackboard, and that way it'll timestamp when you submitted it, and I can easily grade that. But I'll have access to this file. I'll show you how we're going to do that in a minute. Okay, so step 1 is done then. We have packaged our InDesign file. That's all we've done. We haven't submitted it, we just packaged it. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to InDesign, and then what I want to do is I want to make a high-res PDF file. Many times now, printers are okay with that. You could just send them a high-res PDF file of your whatever it is, the magazine, the poster you want printed, and they're okay with that. In the old days, that was never acceptable. You know, you had to send them the InDesign file with the fonts, with the logos, all that kind of stuff. When I do the magazine for the university, I do send them a high-res PDF. But I also send them the InDesign file, the fonts, and all that kind of stuff, because every once in a while, we'll see a final proof from the printer and go, oh, shit. This didn't whatever, or some, you know, the powers that be will say, we got to add one more donor to that list. Well, either I can do it, or sometimes we'll just tell the printer, can you add this name? They'll open the original InDesign file, they'll make the change and all that kind of stuff. So I usually send both. But so to make a high-res PDF, you go back to InDesign and you just say File, Adobe PDF Presets, and then I usually do high quality print. Now, the first thing it's going to say is where you want to put it. Well, I want you to navigate to your Cowan assignment 1 for printer. So go put it in your for printer package folder you just created. And then it says, what do you want to call it? Well, I want you to do the exact same thing. Instead of assignment 1, I want it to be Cowan _ assignment 1 _ for printer. And again, the reason I want that is I'll always know when I'm looking, you might have 7 or 8 versions of this file, PDF or whatever. When you see for printer, okay, this is the one. This is the final, it's been approved, and I know this is the one that I'm going to send off. If you don't see, what you're seeing probably is, I don't know how to make it do it. Click on the little button right there. Okay. So if you say export and you see a small window, click on, I don't know how to make that happen. Oh, I think I clicked on this. If you just see that and you don't really have a lot of options, click on this little button right here and then you'll be able to see what's inside it. Navigate to your for printer folder, rename it up here, and then say save. Now it's gonna pop up and it's gonna say, okay, well, how do you want to save this PDF? And I put in here, there's 3 things I want you to make sure you do. So under marks and bleeds, over here on the left, I want you to do crop marks and page information. So crop marks are going to put little ticks in the corners that would help the printer actually print this, and then they'll know where to cut it. Page information is going to actually add the name of your InDesign file to the PDF. So if you print this out and then you file it away or whatever, and you looked at it a year from now, you would know what the name of your file was, which is actually pretty helpful. And then I want you to say include document bleeds. This file is going to say 000 because this file doesn't have bleeds. Briefly, a bleed means if your image is going off the page, then you have to have bleeds, which means the image actually has to go past the edge of the page. And we'll talk about that later. And you set up bleeds when you create your document. This one doesn't have bleeds because if you look at the design, there's nothing that goes off the edge of the page. It's just white. It's a flyer that's going to be printed here. So, but you still want to do it. And that way, if we had it set up for bleeds, they would show up here. Then you have all this other stuff that you don't even have to worry about. It's those 3 things: crop marks, page number, document bleeds. The only other thing you really do need to worry about, though, is, this is the next step, it says decide on pages or spreads. And we'll go over this a little bit more as we start working on our assignments. But in essence, pages are flyers, things like this where it's a page kind of by itself. Spreads would be like a magazine where you have 2 pages that are side by side, and if you say pages, it would save the PDF. Each page would be individual. If you say spreads, it would put the 2 pages side by side on one big PDF. Okay, so that's the difference. In this case, it would be pages. Typically, I would tell you, this is how I'd like for you to save it on the projects. And we will talk more about spreads and stuff. So once you have that, we're going to say pages. Once you've done under marks and bleeds, then you're just going to say export. So I want to go and let me look and see. I want to go to this folder, Cowan Assignment 1 for printer. It's got the InDesign file in there. It's got this high-res PDF. It's got my fonts, and it's got the photos and links. So that's got everything I need. If I were to send that to the printer, they would really have everything they need. If I look and see what does this PDF look like, so I'm just going to open it up real quick. Here's the flyer. Notice how it has these little marks in here in the corner. Those are the crop marks. Down here, it's kind of small, but it says assignment 1. And everything looks fine. So that's kind of what a PDF looks like. The only other thing I would do is, because I sent you this file, I would ask you to name your file Cowan_assignment1. Because normally you're going to create your files from scratch, and that's what you would name it. You'd be descriptive. You do your last name underscore, and what is it? Assignment 1, project 1, one of those things. All right, so that's the step 2. The third step is we need to submit it, the for printer folder we need to submit. So we're going to do that through Blackboard. So let's log into Blackboard. And it says navigate to submit for printer files. And over here on the left side, it says submit for printer. So everyone log into Blackboard. If you can go to Lewis, my Lewis portal. Also, while we're waiting on that, if you have a laptop that has the ability to use Ethernet, you know what that is, Ethernet? You can unplug it from that computer and plug it into your Ethernet, and then that way you're not going to be dealing with Wi-Fi, and it'll be quicker. But like some with the Mac Pros and the MacBooks and stuff like that, you kind of have to have an adapter. I know my daughter had that. You have to get the adapter for that. Otherwise, you don't have an Ethernet plug. But that's going to make things quicker for you if you're using your laptop and you want to do that. All right, is everybody logged in? No? There we go. So when you click on this submit for printer files, this is just a little shortcut I set up with my Dropbox. Once you add a file here, it's going to automatically go to my Dropbox. Okay? So you would just say add files, files from your computer. Well, actually, let's do folders from your computer. It's going to say, what do you want to upload? Navigate to your Dropbox. Navigate to your assignments. Navigate to your one upload Blackboard, and then go find your folder that says for printer. That's the key. If it says for printer, hey, that's the one I need. And then you just say upload. And then it asks me, do you trust it? I say yes, and then I say upload again. And what it's going to do is it's going to take that whole folder and it's going to give it to my Dropbox. I'll be able to log in. I'll be able to see it. That way I'm not actually logging into your account. I'm just logging into what you copied to my account. So it's almost done with that. So is that working for everyone? Okay. So that's the step 3. And then the last thing we need to do is we need to upload the PDF to Blackboard itself. So you would go to your assignments over here on the left. You'd actually click on assignment 1. And then this is just like every other, assignment you typically do. You scroll down a little bit. You want to attach a file. You would just say, I want to browse local files. And again, this is where I don't want you to put the folder. You're doing the PDF. And the PDF that says for printer. You say open. You say submit, and then that's all you got to do. Now, it's not going to let me do it because I'm not a person in this class, but you should see that, and it should have worked. So did that work for everyone? Oh, well, except for the three of you. I'm sorry about that. But you can do this from home. If you have your own account, you can just do this from home. The only key is you'll probably need to install Dropbox on your home computer as well. But that, if we've done this, then this way, if for some reason the weather's horrible or you're in COVID quarantine or whatever and you need to work from home, you will have access to your same Dropbox folder. You would have access to InDesign, so you could work from home if you needed to, kind of like Frank is doing today.